Hey everybody, the Bong is here, and welcome to the 2021 Much Games Hall of Fame inductions. Of course, I couldn't really do this alone because I am joined by three of my most esteemed co-hosts, and they are... This is your cue to introduce yourselves.
I was
Not
just
going
waiting
to
to
say
see
a
who.
word, apparently.
I was waiting to see who wanted to go first, but okay, Black. But I was waiting to see who wanted to go first. Okay. Anyway, moving on. If we want to look up in dictionary of Basha openings to a Hall of Fame video, I think this just made Webster's dictionary.
No, we botch everything else,
I mean, we
Yeah,
botch, we
true.
botch, it, we botch in general. So
which is all
Yeah.
part of the fun. All right, so yes, it's Cole.
samurai.
Yep. All right. So we already know who. We already got that done. Now that we got the weird awkwardness.
Yeah, so we go back to our host, Panga.
Yes. So, earlier this year, we had the Much Games Hall of Fame tournament for 2021, which had 64 games. 14 have been picked by viewers, and of course, the remaining were picked by members of the Much Games crew. So, we are going to start with, each member of the crew nominated one game of their choice. And I'm going to start by the one that was nominated by LP Grotus, Yakuza Zero. Now, this is a game that not only he played, but I streamed on my own Twitch channel very recently. Like, anybody that knows about the Yakuza series, it's pretty zany. And, this one actually has a dark story as well. You not only play as Kiryu, who is the main character, but you play as Majima. So, of course, this goes back to, their roots before, the mainline Yakuza games. And this game is actually a lot of fun. And it's also, just to keep in mind that if you're trying to complete it, it's also very, very long. Probably one of the longest to 100% if you care to do so. But because the game had, a dark story, a lot of absurd moments, and interesting gameplay, this is why it's in our Much Games Hall of Fame tournament, Much Games Hall of Fame for 2021.
It was
And
also
I'll
one of the
pass it
games
off
that
to the next game.
It was also one of the games that was in the tournament itself, which I think got knocked out in the first round. But
I
Yeah,
don't
something
think
around
it did,
that.
no.
okay, I don't know. You have all the results for that anyway. So, but like you said, Panga hit it all on the hammer anyway. So I don't think we need to comment anymore, do we?
No, not really.
No.
I got the game on PS4. So part of a remaster collection or
Yeah,
something.
because it is a prequel to the original anyway.
It is the prequel that started it all.
Yeah. Great game.
That's why it's called Yakuza
And if you
Zero.
want to if you want to see a really good stream of it, you can manga Twitch page and watch his many sessions of the game. But
And Grotus has not only streamed it and put it on
and
YouTube
yes,
as well.
LP Rose has done it too. So great playthroughs. So yeah, check it out.
Alright, so it's my turn to announce the next game. Colette NL 180 is inducting this one, and it definitely surprised me. I'm not going to lie about it. So, we're going back on prequels, and this is actually a prequel itself to what they considered the start of the series. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, released in 2011 originally for the Nintendo Wii. It came out and introduced stuff in the series like the stamina gauge, how the Master Sword came about from the series in general, the character of Fi, which in that game gave a lot of stats, most of them useless. Now, part that really threw a lot of people off and threw me off was more of the controls, which is why I said that someone else will probably have to be inducting this game because I was sure as hell not. But I'll go to the positives more than negatives on it. The storyline itself was actually great. You got Link, who he and Zelda are up in the sky, and, well, Zelda gets sent down to the land of Hyrule before it was even ever considered Hyrule, where she almost gets captured herself. Then you get Girahim, who is the main antagonist, I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm going to say the
Pretty
main
much.
antagonist. You see a lot of him. Even though the big guy, their demise, spoiler alert if you've ever actually played the game, is the final boss of the game.
I mean, fair, Girahim was the one responsible for trying to bring back Demise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I won't give any other spoilers to about it other than that. But it is great. Like, the storyline is great and compelling and everything. What threw me off and why it's probably been take so long to even get into the Hall of Fame is this fact that they're freaking controls. Because every half an hour, you probably would have to resync recalibrate, rather, not resync, but recalibrate your controls.
Had a poor showing in E3 when they demonstrated it, so yeah, I knew it was going to be that for the Wii when I played it anyway.
Well,
but
yeah,
for
but
what it is, the story is fantastic.
But the great thing is, they earlier this year released the version for Switch, and now you kind of got different control schemes. So of course you can still probably suffer from Joy-Con trick, I guess. I've never had that happen to me, but there's different ways of playing the game now, and they kind of dumbed down Fire a bit too, which I didn't really find Fire annoying anyway. But Fire's not Navi. And also, when you play, the one thing about Skyward Sword, the original version, every time you picked up an item, it had to tell you what the item was. So I picked up a ruby. Oh, I just picked up another ruby. You gotta tell me what it is again. But in the HD version, they removed that. You pick up an item once, they never have to tell you what it is again. So, little quirks, but yeah, the control scheme was kind of the worst thing. Other than that, the storyline was excellent.
Actually, outside of that, people might have complained about the Silent Realm being a little bit stressful, too.
Yeah, that could be, yeah, that is true. And especially with the control scheme. But I didn't really mind the stamina gauge. The stamina gauge was actually a nice trick. It kind of made it more realistic, I guess. So that wasn't bad, but control-wise,
yeah,
it was kind of a weak point. And that's why, like Cole said, why it probably took so long for someone to induct it. Because of that. Alright, so next game, moving on, is actually one that I wanted to pick, and it only became eligible this year. Is Final Fantasy 15. So this one is for, of course, the PlayStation 4. I guess you can play it on PlayStation 5, and Xbox One, and the Xbox One X, and Series S, and all those.
That's also
and of course, PC. Yeah, it came out on PC, and it's actually on Google Stadia too. So anybody who has Google Stadia, I don't know who has it. Anyway, but it's the 15th game, of course, in the series. So I guess they're not counting games. The question is Final Fantasy game. It's not one that has a number attached to it. So this game here is great. It was actually originally going to be a spin-off to Final Fantasy 13 or Versus 13. Back in 2006 was when it started developing it, but it took so long, they had to make changes to the storyline and dropped a few characters and made its own game. And it's mostly based on reality now. You got like real world elements, like cars, more realistic basically. But it's a great game and it has a great storyline. I'm not going to go into the story of it as much, because I don't be here all night talking about this type of game, just like you could with Zelda and any other kind of future games in this list. But it's basically the save the world kind of thing, like just like the Zelda game, save the world from some kind of enemy or enemy. And there's a royal family, of course, in this game. Most of the games have a royal family, except for like Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8. Don't, but Final Fantasy 10, and I guess Final Fantasy 10 doesn't. But yeah, Final Fantasy 15 is a great game. Action roleplay. If you played Final Fantasy games before, you know what Final Fantasy is about, and can probably dive into it pretty quickly and pretty easily. But it's finally getting inducted, because it was finally eligible.
Just like Final Fantasy 15, we are also 4 guys just chilling around.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's kind of the meme of Final Fantasy 15. 4 guys chilling around like by a car or something. But yeah, no. And it's actually got a pocket edition too that you can get on like tablets. I guess the Switch. It's not really on the Switch like this the regular version, but there's a pocket edition you can get on the Switch. So it's kind of got that aspect too.
Yeah. The only difference between them and us, yes, they're hanging out in the car. We're still waiting for Samurai to come over so we can actually do that scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as long as we don't have to push the car.
But of course, the game is made by.
I haven't really decided whether we're going to push it or pull it yet.
Yeah.
For authenticity, Cole's just gonna cut off the vehicle's top so we can have a convertible.
Yeah, might as well.
And one last note about Final Fantasy 15 is actually as of November of this year, of 2021, it's sold almost 10 million copies, 9.8 to be exact. So it's a pretty high selling game. Probably not the highest selling game of all time, but it's up there.
Well, it's definitely worth the replay value too.
Oh, it is. It's totally worth it. Well, just like a lot of Zelda games, a lot of Final Fantasy RPGs in general, most of them got replay value. So most of them. There's a few that probably don't, but we're not gonna talk about those. All right, moving on to the next game.
All right, so Sephiroth Tower 4 has inducted this one, and a few years ago, back in 2017, he inducted Journey. Why I bring up that game is because the same creators of that game made this game, Abzu. Now, Abzu is available on the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, PC, and also Amazon Luna. So we got all that right there, and basically what this game is about is you're exploring an ocean. Pretty much, that's all I can pretty well say on it is the exact same thing that you're going on a journey, except you're actually swimming. So you got a game where you got tremendous cutscenes. The character is a female diver that is wicked in the ocean and just explores everything. There's not much you can do with that one. So like this ancient civilization, where that has a connection with the ocean. She's also led by a great white shark that, when activated, the energy with her restores life to local seas. So it's like you're on a journey to do this, to basically bring life back to the ocean, so you can actually fish and kill it again. And that's pretty all I can say about that game.
You can say more about it than what I can. Until a few minutes before this Hall of Fame video was actually started, it's the first time I've actually heard of it. So, yeah. But it sounds interesting from what I've been told. Maybe I'll check it out.
A look.
Definitely looking up. I never even played the one Journey, but at least I've heard of that one. But now I've read up about it. Oh, okay. But basically, you summed up exactly what I would have probably said about it.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go on to the... Is it the fifth game now?
Yes, this would be the fifth one.
And the next game is James Bond 007 Everything or Nothing. Released in 2004 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Also ported on the Game Boy Advance. And this was inducted by me. This was Pierce Brosnan's last outing as 007 after he did Die Another Day. So this game is a third-person shooting action shooter, and it definitely was different compared to Nightfire if you've played that before, because that was first person, so this took third person route. And it definitely is something that I was addicted to whenever I played it, because it did something that multiple James Bond games doesn't do, and it actually added a cooperative story, so it definitely had its replay value for sure. Let's see. I would talk about the plot, but I don't want to give spoilers if nobody hasn't played it, you know. But for what it was, this game is definitely something you all could look back on and probably play as well, because it's fun with friends. Like any co-op game is fun, but for James Bond Everything or Nothing, it's probably one of the better Bond games of all time, considering these days James Bond is dormant until I'm going off topic here, but
Daniel Craig.
The same developers that are doing Hitman is going to be doing the next James Bond game. I don't know the release date, but that will be within probably around 2023 or 2022. But this game definitely had a lot of stars in it. It had Heidi Klum, Willem Dafoe. I had a lot of faces. Willem Dafoe definitely fit this game well as a villain. I'm not going to give too much of a spoilers. It also had a return of Jaws, and
So they had a Green Goblin in this game.
Sounds like it. Green Goblin.
Yes, Willem Dafoe. Yeah, I was thinking Green Goblin. I was like, oh yeah, Willem Dafoe. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got that joke.
Yeah, the Green Goblin.
It took me a while, Dan. It took me a while. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. And of course, if it's going to be made by the same people who made Hitman, especially the most recent Hitman that came out earlier this year, then it's probably going to be a good game, the next Bond game. Because the most recent Hitman game, I have that on the PlayStation 5, and it's a great game. So if the new Bond game is going to be anything like it, it's probably going to be a good game. We'll have to wait and see on it.
Yeah, like I said, this was Pierce Brosnan's last outing as Bond before Daniel Craig took over for Casino Royale in 2006.
Mm-hmm. And now his movies are actually finishing up now, so... Well, just finished up, basically.
Yep.
No Time to Die. Okay. So the next game is, I'm going to announce it on behalf of Zero Lightning. Castlevania Legend. This is actually kind of like a updated version. It was originally on the Dreamcast, the regular Arcadia, and they added Legends to it. And now this one's on like pretty much GameCube is the one that's on, yeah. And
it's not released anywhere else.
Nope, pretty much just GameCube. They never been on PlayStation 2 or Xbox. GameCube, I guess maybe the Oddstyle or whatever licensing agreements. But it came out in 2000 in Japan, North America, and EU got it in 2001. But basically, that is the original version. And then the GameCube one came out basically 2003. So this game here is basically a JRPG. I don't know much. I haven't really played this one a lot because I really didn't own a Dreamcast. But it is great. It's a turn-based experience points, kind of got 3D. But if you know anybody who played, like, who contributed or developed the games Panzer Dragoon or Phantasy Star, Sonic the Hedgehog, or even Shakur Wars, they actually had their hand in this game. And it actually did receive critical acclaim, and it's frequently got as one of the best games for the Dreamcast. Not many good games for the Dreamcast, probably, I don't know. Kind of fizzled out pretty quickly, but there's only a handful of games I can think of for the Dreamcast were good. And apparently, Skies Arcadia was one of them. But yeah, if you like RPG, especially JRPG, you might want to check this one out.
Yeah, and Zero Lightning inducted this one, by the way.
I mentioned that already at the beginning. I said on behalf of Zero, but yeah.
Oh, well, I never heard because I got Jeff Dunham on there and the text is on. So I'm trying to mute my mic at the same time.
Of course, this is a single-player RPG because there is some RPGs that are multiplayer, but this one is definitely single-player. And I think it actually did have some cancel engine that I believe they were going to do this for PS2 and PC, but it was canceled and they just went with Game Boy. And apparently there was also going to be not Game Boy, GameCube, but they were also going to do a Game Boy Advance version, but they didn't do that either. So it was strictly just GameCube.
Yep, that is all true.
So, and yeah, according to well, it doesn't really matter, but according to IGN back in 2006, it was actually the 58th best game of all time. So it actually made the best back in 2006, which made it one of the best games of all time in our top 100 list. So
an underrated gem for sure.
Yep. All right, moving on to the next one. I believe this one is going to be inducted by.
Yeah, this one was my pick for the Hall of Fame. Now, backstory: this game has always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. in the Hall of Fame tournaments. It's always finished close, but no cigar. Now, with that being said, we've Let's Played this last year. It was released in 1996 for the SNES. And it's fitting that it only took 25 years just to get into the Hall of Fame. Super RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Now, this game is the first ever RPG that Mario's ever done. And it was a pretty well smash hit. Which features Mario, Peach, Bowser, Geno, which everyone wants in Smash, Mallow, and I'm pretty sure there's a few other characters in there. But then Bowser's trying to get back his castle from Smitty, and well, they go on an adventure to collect the 7 stars. That's pretty well what it all is about. Rare made the game and everything like that, so if you guys want to chime in.
Well, Square was involved in it, so... Well, Square Enix now, but they... Square back then, they were involved. And because of Mario RPG, you got other Mario spin-off games that came out on, like, the handhelds. Like, what is it? Superstar Saga is one of them. Dream Team's another one. Bowser's Inside Story. Those type of Mario RPG type games probably wouldn't have existed without Super Mario RPG. And I gotta say, probably Super Mario RPG is probably one of the greatest games ever made. It's definitely in the top 10, though. But yeah, Square had its hand in it, which I guess they were probably one of the biggest RPG makers back in the 90s, and probably still are to this day, and helped develop it or make it. So
yeah, I said Rare. I meant to say Squaresoft at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rare would be more of a Donkey Kong Country games, stuff like that. But yeah, Square.
Imagine if we actually had a Donkey Kong RPG.
It probably could work. It probably could work. It's just that I think as soon as the battle starts, Cranky Kong will probably just fall over.
Not only would he fall over, he'd take full credit.
Yeah.
Cranky would just do a special attack called Lecture, just to kill people, just infinite damage.
Put someone to sleep. Yeah, but
Donkey Kong would just be the secret endgame character.
But like Cole said, this took so long for this game to be put on the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue.
For a game that's 25 years old, it's aged rather well, actually.
It has, actually.
It has. And we did this last year, us, the Jew, Moogle, we were all in on it, even though Bonker was controlling it. Our voice acting was not on cue.
No.
Oh,
yes.
we just did it for comedy.
Some characters had multiple voices from people, and we were like, who's supposed to voice this character? And
hey, Malo did have a split personality.
He did.
He did.
So he had multiple voices, so it worked.
And the good thing for anybody that finds Mario RPG a bit too easy, there are hacks available to make it harder.
Yeah.
Or change other things about it.
Yeah. But on top of that, now with that game, and before we move on to some of the other games, it not only did that have like a good following on it, as I mentioned too, everyone wanted Geno in and Smash. It's like, no.
Yep, we had to settle for stupid Minecraft. Was it Minecraft they did, or?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, we had to sign for Minecraft Steve, but we couldn't get Geno or like a Wallow. But we had to settle for a Minecraft. Very good job, Nintendo. Very good job. Being sarcastic if the viewers don't know. So yeah, we really want a Minecraft character. Smash. No, we don't. Anyway.
All right,
moving on to the next game.
So the next game is Mother, also known as Earthbound Beginnings outside of Japan. This game was released in 1989 for the Famicom, or the NES as we call it over here, and it never got released outside of Japan. And it got a re-release on a GBA again in Japan in 2003, and then it only just got released on the Wii U worldwide in 2015. So we had to wait, let's see, 26 years? 26 years just for an old game to be re-released. But I haven't played I've not played this game before. So this game does use random encounters to a menu-based first-person battle system, which is pretty revolutionary back for when it was released. And unfortunately for me, I don't really have that much experience. I'm just going off the Wikipedia. It does borrow. I think it does borrow from Dragon Quest 3. I believe it does anyway. Borrow from Dragon Quest 3, which it did drew. Well, it did because it said it draws inspiration from it. So Shigeru Miyamoto did have his role to play in this game being developed. He didn't make it; he produced it. So he wasn't the director. He was a producer. Shigesato Itoi was the director of the game. I believe this game is the one that follows Ness. Ness is in the first game, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ness.
No.
Ness is in the
Nintendo.
first game.
If you're talking
Nintendo.
about Mother,
Oh,
that
Ninten.
Ninten.
Oh, that's right.
Ness was in Mother 2.
Oh,
Thank
right.
you. I thought Ness was in Mother 1. Where's Ninten?
But Ness is one of the most famous characters from that series, so...
To appear, if you're outside of Japan, you're not really gonna know who the hell Nintendo is.
Nope.
There
Not
you
until
go.
it got released, like when Samurai
In
said until it got released
2015.
worldwide. That's when you started, unless you went and found some kind of emulation version or something like that previously. Yeah, you probably didn't know about it or played it till then.
Okay, so to be fair, myself and Banga actually have LP'd this game on our channels.
You have?
Well, I got a titled Earthbound Zero. He has a titled Mother.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
They're pretty
Yeah.
old Let's Plays, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a game that it's coming up for the Switch next year, but it's already out on Steam, and Bonga's actually currently like streaming it. Omari, if I'm pronouncing it right. That game
Amori,
looks,
yeah, pretty much.
that is pretty much reminds me a lot of the Earthbound Flash. The way it's graphically, the way the battle system is, the innuendos, all of it. It reminds me. I say the people who made that game got their inspiration from Mother Earth, definitely, because. And I was gonna pick it up on PC, but I'm gonna wait till 2022. The Switch, it's probably gonna be on my list. Mario, but yeah. So if you like Earthbound and Mother, you might want to check that one out too, because it's a lot like it. But it's also got a bit of horror features to it, but it's a cool game. But yeah, the Mother series, great series.
All right, so that one's a
All
long
right.
time coming in. Did you actually inducted that one, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
He did.
And
I
It's
forgot to
actually
mention that.
given his title games that he always put in tournaments, this one comes out of left field.
yeah,
But-
this would actually surprise me when he picked it.
He probably
Wow.
got. I know he was watching my Let's Play of it back when he first started getting mine, and he can probably confirm this one. I won't. My only theory is that he's probably got it from based on that. Me and him have had a
Probably.
discussion before on that one in his Tuju Talks series. All right, moving on.
Right. So anyway, the next game in the Hall of Fame was a game that I'm actually inducting. The original Castlevania for the NES. This game came out around, I think, 1986, which of course was a flagship franchise for Konami at the time. And let me tell you, like, if you want to look at the roots of Castlevania, it is a really tough, challenging platformer where you're playing as Simon Belmont going up against Dracula and the forces of evil, going through some, like, really dangerous areas. And most of the times you're not just fighting the enemies, but rather facing the physics. And not to mention, water will kill you.
There we go with the swimming mechanic never working. We always drown.
And the only way you can keep yourself alive is by finding meat inside walls, because apparently that's appetizing.
Yeah, I've always wanted meat in walls.
Yeah, wall meat is the best.
Like, I can understand, like, cooking your meat in, like, say, clay or mud, but that is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah, so Simon Belmont. Yep, it all started with the Belmont,
Mm-hmm.
and it spun off so many games to
And
this
even an
day,
animated series.
which is
Yep.
actually really good if you have Netflix.
Yeah, I
Probably
gotta
check
catch
out
up on that
Castlevania.
series on Netflix. But fun fact,
so that's
this was actually, sorry to interrupt, but fun fact, this is actually Banga's first Let's Play and the Much Games Guides.
Yes.
it was.
And the
And it
fun
came-
fact about that is that, like, over time, like, after a while, we did get some Castlevania games that move ahead in the timeline, but there were a lot of games that actually moved backwards into the timeline, that Simon was not the first Belmont after all.
Yeah,
So, like, in the main line, it was, like, Leon Belmont, and I think maybe Gabriel as well, when they got to the Lords of Shadow timeline, which was pretty much its own series, so to speak. Just carrying the
Yes.
Castlevania name.
Yeah, there's a lot of great characters like Simon Belmont and Victor Belmont, and of course, who can't forget Alucard. And of course, probably one of the greatest Castlevania games of all time is Symphony of the Night.
Yes.
Debate, and that's great game. So, and of course, the many Game Boy handheld Game Boy ones, recent collection that just came out, the Advanced Collection.
Yep. And if you want to play the original Castlevania, there's also a regular collection that's out on Steam and various consoles as well.
But yeah, Steam, Switch.
So if you want to try the North American, or maybe you want to go the Japanese version,
Yep.
go right ahead.
And also, Banga has Let's Played the majority of the Castlevania games on our channel, except for, I believe, it's Super Castlevania, which Samurai did.
Which was done by me.
Yeah. It's been a while since a Castlevania game's been LP, so maybe that will come in 2022. So yeah, it came out in Japan in September of '86, and May of '87 is when it came out in North America, and '88 in Europe actually. So
Because
basically,
we always get things late.
yeah. So it took 2 years. It took 2 years for Europe to get it.
That's pretty ironic considering like the story of Castlevania technically takes place in Europe.
Yeah, and they got the game lab. All right, so I guess
that's bad. Think about Australia; they barely get games at all.
That's so true.
That's because there's many reasons. We're not going into that.
Poor Australia.
Poor Australia. Okay, so the next game was actually the game that won this tournament, and it was actually a user submitted game. I can't remember what user submitted it. Cole, anybody knows? You can say what the user was, but
I do believe Banga knows because he might have it written down. It's also in one of the emails. I can probably pull it up later on.
Yeah. So, but anyway, user submitted game actually won, and it's actually another RPG. So I'm seeing a trend here in the Hall of Fame. This is what, the fifth RPG? I want to say. Yeah, the fifth one. Because I started with Final Fantasy, because Zelda's not one, but Final Fantasy 15 was the first one. Yeah, so this is like the fifth RPG. Anyway, the winner of the Hall of Fame LP by someone in the crew is Golden Sun. So, I've never LP'd the game. I know Cole has done multiple Golden Sun games, if I'm not mistaken.
I've only done the one.
You've done one, but I think Banga's done like pretty much almost all of them.
Yeah, all three, like
All
to keep
three.
us on the cliffhanger.
Dovey, I think I've done maybe all three,
Dovey-
but I've obviously done two for sure.
Yeah. So this is the original one being inducted. So this was back in 2001 for the Game Boy Advance, and then later it spun off another one, which would be The Lost Age, and then of course there was Dark Dawn, which was the DS. But yeah, it's another RPG, and it's one that I really have to play in the series. I haven't really played much of Golden Sun. I've seen the LPs of it. It's still probably one of the greatest RPGs. Probably in, I guess, the Game Boy era or Game Boy Advance era. if anybody else wants to chime in and kind of give more detail for the ones who LP'd the game, go for it. But it's definitely a game that I'm gonna have to. And who knows? Maybe I'll be the lucky one to LP for the channel. But yeah.
If I can say a couple things about the Golden Sun series, is that like it's a neat RPG for its time that has like a pretty good story and some interesting, battle systems, like abilities you can use. Although if you're going to be like getting into the story, be prepared for a lot of reading.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of almost like the Trails series. So the Trails.
Trails is definitely way wordier.
Yeah, but it's almost like those type of games. Be prepared to read a lot. You'll have fun when you get to control your characters and fight and solve, I guess, any kind of puzzles. If there's
lots of puzzles. And the good thing about some of the puzzles is that they cut down the encounters during the puzzles.
There you go. But yeah, also prepared to lot too. So yeah, that's a great game from what I've seen.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comments on that one there now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
here we go. James Yoder.
James Yoder was the one that submitted the game. Well, his game won the Hall of Fame then.
Yeah, he also tried to submit one that was already in the Hall of Fame, but
we've had a couple of those actually. And actually, I think we had a game that was in the Hall of Fame that actually still made it into the tournament somehow.
It's happened.
And but luckily it got knocked out early. So yeah, that's fine. Like if it had to win, we would have been like, well, it won the tournament, but so it gets future LP, but it's already been inducted before, so. But yeah,
I didn't. To be fair, Ric Flair can get inducted multiple times. Why not another game like Digimon?
Yeah, Digimon. But yeah, the most recent game this series is Dark Dawn, back in 2010, and it hasn't been a Golden Sun game since. So Nintendo, if you're listening, reboot this series, bring it back.
They probably are not.
They probably won't, but bring it back. There's many people that want to see this series come back for like the last 11 years. And yeah, I'd like to see it come back. Or like a remake of it. Remastered, who knows? But yeah. And it was actually the Game Boy Advance's Game of the Year for 2001, according to a couple of Nintendo Power actually rated it the best GBA game of 2001.
Yep, that is true.
So, and was to make the IGN list at 94 and predecessor and all that. So, anyway, you can definitely read about the game. But yeah, best game of 2001 according to Nintendo Power, which of course is no longer around.
Wow, that was 20 years ago? Jesus.
I know, right?
Yeah, GBA. I can't believe it, yeah. This is over 20 years old. It was actually 20 on August 1st of 2001 is when it 20.
Yep.
So,
all right.
We got that one now. In our other wing, last year, myself and Bragg introduced the first two games. This year, it's...
Oh, okay. Should I do this one?
Yeah, you're going to be doing one.
The first one. I think you does the second one.
Yeah, okay. That's how it's going to go.
All right.
Yep, so we are now in the remastered wing, and the first nomination for that wing for this year is Command & Conquer Remastered.
Love that game.
This is a collection that came out in summer of 2020, which was really good around, it came out around, a few months into the pandemic, and it was before I was, getting ready to get back into work in the office. So it gave me plenty of time to play this game. And I ended up streaming it on my channel when it came out as well, which is a collection of the first two Command & Conquer games, along with their expansion packs. The first one being Tiberian Dawn, and the other one being Red Alert. So you can actually play as, any of those games, picking any of the sides, whether it be, GDI or not, or even the Allies versus the Soviets. And the cool thing about it is that you have these remastered graphics and remastered songs, but you can have the option to go back to old graphics, and the old songs. So it offers like a little bit of, throwback to their roots. And the cool thing about it as well, along with having expansions, it has mod support. So if you want to like customize like how the game goes, or even create your own levels or play levels that others have created, you can do that as well. And that is why it's my pick in the Much Games Hall of Fame tournament for not tournament, Much Games Hall of Fame for 2021. I'm stumbling on my words here.
Yeah, and EA actually done well with this.
Surprisingly,
Mm-hmm.
considering how shitty EA are these days.
Yeah,
Who
it's
knows?
great.
Maybe we'll get Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see.
Hell, even Renegade, which was the spin-off first-person shooter.
Yeah,
You never know what the
Never say
future's going to
never.
hold.
it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah.
All right, and the last game that's going to be announced today. You up, Samurai?
No.
Google's pick.
Last one will be Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. This was a remaster released in 2019, September 17th in Japan. Well, no, yeah, 2009, sorry, in Japan. And, good old Worldwide got it 10 years after that in 2019, January 11th. This game follows Yuri Lowell, who was a former Imperial soldier who forms a guild called Brave Vesperia to aid Estelle, a noble woman who encounters on a mission. I'm not going to read the entire plot because, I don't want to spoil it, but, you form a guild where you have to aid Estelle and, or you have to confront a former friend of his. Yeah. I'm not going to go into further depth, but, in terms of the gameplay, this is actually a 3D, I would say 3D action RPG, because you do control the character while you're in combat. So I've not played this in a while, but I have recently bought it, so I'd have pull it in the streaming recommended for myself. But there are a lot of in your usual RPGs, there are each character that has different abilities, because that's majority of RPGs. You would have one that either does warrior, like fight with swords, magic, and whatnot. The skills and attributes can be gathered in so many different ways. There's one thing I have liked about this game, apart from its battle system, because I do like moving around these days when it comes to RPGs and battles, is the comedy and stuff. The story is very good in this game. Like, I'd heavily recommend those who haven't played it to play this game. Like, if you guys did not have it in 2009, I guess your best chance to get it is right now, which is the definitive edition, which has pretty much made improvements on the previous in its predecessor, which definitely is a well-deserved spot in the Hall of Fame. Has sold quite a bit, so the Tales of Vesperia has been very popular to many people, myself included, because I do have the Xbox version. Sorry, I was going to say PS3, but that's Japanese. But no, I got the Xbox version of it, but then I had to get it on the thing because my Xbox 360 is broken. So it's definitely worth your time to play it, because I think if you guys like a battle system the way Tales of Vesperia is, you would definitely enjoy this experience. If anybody else wants to add to that, you can.
I got that game at launch and I played it for a few hours. Maybe eventually I'll get back into it. But there's also Tales of Arise.
Yeah, that's the
So
one.
it's a matter of picking
That's
which
the one that I'm
one.
currently playing.
And I did Tales of Symphonia last year on my channel.
Which is true.
Yeah,
I recently bought that one.
I have Vesperia, the definitive one, on the Nintendo Switch is what I have it on. So I played a tiny bit of it, like Bonga said. Tales of Arise is the one that's been taking my time. But I'll definitely get back into Vesperia, because from what I played on it, it's a good game. It's really good.
Now I do think that, like, am I right with this one for the Tales games that both of them are they can play 4 players in this one? I could be wrong.
I can't remember if you play 4 players.
It is a multiplayer in this game. I don't know how
Yeah.
many players, but it is It does have a multiplayer function.
Yeah, so it's probably you can actually 4 players, so it is for local 4 players. So 4 players.
If only if it was online. I mean,
Yeah,
local's amazing.
unfortunately there's no online multiplayer, but it's up to 4 players, pretty much from what I see there. So so multiplayer factor, 4 players. So it's kind of like basically like Tales of Symphonia that Cole did.
It is a good thing that they added multiplayer still, because not many RPGs tend to add multiplayer.
Well, like I mentioned earlier in the Hall of Fame voting, some RPGs that multiplayer, and I didn't list them. And the reason I didn't list it is because wanted to wait till we got to this game, because this one is one of the ones that you can do multiplayer.
Yeah. So in our new wing, the remakes remaster one, there's 4 games in total, and so we got, what is it now? And the other one, I just got to figure it out now. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 160 games now. In the regular one.
Yep. And the remake Master one has 4.
Yeah, so fun fact about our tournament, we always had this little discussion, inside group discussion on this tournament. Now, the rules were basically from background, we had to pick X amount of games. And for Moogle, the majority of his games got knocked out in the first round. He somehow, I don't know how he pulled this one off, but he somehow managed to be the last one standing within the whole entire group.
Yeah, I still don't know how he pulled that off, but he pulled that off. His game went right to the finals only to lose Golden. But still, I don't know how he did it.
Fun fact, he was just like picking games out of his ass, and somehow he got the golden turd.
So to speak, yeah. But yeah, that's basically the Hall of Fame tournament for 2021, so yeah.
Yes. So class of 2020, so just to review, we have Yakuza Zero, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Final Fantasy 15, Abzu, James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing, Skies of Arcadia Legend, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, Mother, Castlevania, and Golden Sun. And in our other wing, the remakes and remasters, the second I can actually pull it up again.
Command & Conquer Remastered and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition.
So that's it. This is probably a shorter Hall of Fame video than what we normally have.
Yeah.
But
which is fine. We don't need to have something really, really long. Mm-hmm. So this is in the middle. Well, yeah, join us in
the shortest one we've ever done.
Join us in 2022. Yeah, join us in 2022 for more Let's Plays throughout the year, and of course the 2022 Hall of Fame, which this year was a little bit later than usual, but that's fine because we usually do it in summertime, but we decided to wait till a bit later in the year, so which is fine as well. Well, yeah, that's the tournament. That's the inductees.
Yep. So. Banga, I guess, is one hosting this, so he can sign us off whenever he wants.
Yes. So this is the crew signing off. Take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of your 2021.
Take care, everyone.
Peace out.
Peace out, everyone.